Please subscribe and click the hype and like button to get more content like this. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. Everything demonstrated in this video is strictly for educational purposes, to show you how to protect yourself. All demonstrations are performed in a controlled lab environment on our own testing devices. We never target real users, and using this knowledge to gain unauthorized access to actual people or systems is strictly illegal and unethical.
In this video, we're going to use the SpiderFoot open source intelligence automation tool to perform open source reconnaissance. Our first step is going to be installing the SpiderFoot tool. In this case, we're going to be installing it on Windows, but SpiderFoot is a Python-based package, so the procedure will be very similar regardless of what platform you install on. To get started, let's open up a terminal, and we are going to need to have Python and Git both installed on our system before we can run these commands. Once we have those installed, we first need to clone the repository for SpiderFoot by using the command git clone, followed by the URL to the repository, which is github.com/smicallef/spiderfoot.git. Next, let's change directory into the SpiderFoot folder that we've just cloned by using the command cd spiderfoot. And we can do an ls inside this folder to see what the contents are. And within this folder, we see that there is a requirements.txt file. This is what we're going to be using to install SpiderFoot. So within this directory, we're going to run the command pip install -r requirements.txt. Once this command completes, we're ready to start using SpiderFoot. We can run SpiderFoot either through a web browser using the UI mode or through a command line interface. In this case, let's use the web UI mode. To do that, we use the command python sf.py -l 127.0.0.1 :5001. Now we have a web server running at the address 127.0.0.1, which is our local host, on port 5001. So if we open up a web browser and navigate to that address, it brings us to the web UI version of SpiderFoot. Now we can start interacting with and using the tool. To run a scan on a web application using the SpiderFoot web UI, we go to the top of the screen and click on New Scan. And this brings us up with a new scan configuration page. First, we need to give the scan a name. In this case, we'll call it Demo Scan. Next, we need to provide it with a scan target. On the right, we have some information about what the scan target can be. SpiderFoot tells us that the scan target could be one of the following: a domain name, an IPv4 or IPv6 address, a host name/subdomain, a subnet, a Bitcoin address, an email address, a phone number, a human name, a username, or a network ASN. In this case, let's make the scan target spiderfoot.net. Next, we have a variety of different options about how we want to run the scan. We could do it by use case, by required data, or by module. Under the By Use Case tab, we have a variety of use case options to pick from, with the default being All, where we get anything and everything about the target. If we go to the By Required Data tab, we can see that we can select or unselect various data that we want to retrieve in the scan. And if we go to the By Module tab, we can select or unselect specific modules that we want to run. In this case, let's use a By Required Data scan, and we're going to select specific data that we want to achieve. So first, we're going to click on the Deselect All button, and now we're going to select specific pieces of data that we want to retrieve here. Let's get affiliate IP address and affiliate domain whois. And for this scan, that's all we really want to get. If you were running a real reconnaissance penetration test, you may want to get much more data than this. However, this will be sufficient for demonstration purposes. If we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, we can click on Run Scan Now. And now our scan has started. Once your scan has finished, or in this case, manually been stopped because oftentimes they can take quite a long time to run, you will have results available to you from the scan. So on our demo scan page, we now have a completed scan, and we can go down and see a histogram of the summary of all of the scan results. If we click on the Browse tab, we can see all of the different elements in more detail from the summary screen. And if we go to IP address under Type, we can see the IP address that has been retrieved for SpiderFoot.net. We can also get a graph of all of the different web connections that we have starting from SpiderFoot.net, going out to the various subdomains and IP addresses. We can get a review of the scan information and scan settings that we used. And there's a log information as well, so that we can review what happened during the scan. If we go to the top and click on the Scans tab, we can see a history of all the scans that we have previously run. This is also where you can go to manually control your scans, for example, to stop your scan or delete your scans, or rerun any scans that you want to run again. So this is how we can use SpiderFoot to perform reconnaissance during our penetration tests.